just to echo some of the points made by Imam Hindi. If we think back to what happened last year, the morning of March 19th, 2022 was really started off as a very quiet one. It was very calm. It was a very routine morning, slightly overcast, and community members trickled into Mississauga's Dar Al Tawheed Islamic Centre for another morning prayer just after 6 a.m. They expected nothing more than that. They expected nothing more than a routine morning of worship and reflection. No one could foresee, though, the grotesque transformation that morning, transforming into really their worst nightmares, as the Imam was saying. As the worshippers lined up behind the Imam to perform their prayer, their minds turned towards God. None of them were worried about what might pass through the entrance behind them. Yet it was during these moments of faithful serenity and prayer that the same man who entered his guilty plea some moments ago, intruded onto sacred ground with one thing in mind, as we know now, to kill the Muslims in that room. He was armed with a hatchet in one hand, bear spray in the other, and knives strapped to his body, but we know that according to today's disclosures and details, he had a lot more weapons in the trunk of his car and in his place of residence. He made his way behind the worshippers and started his attack by using his bear spray, which spread throughout the room and immediately suffocated several worshippers. This ironically alerted the worshippers that something was wrong. Many had no doubt heard of attacks at mosques or have seen news of such intrusions on television, but none of them expected to be the victims of such an attack. Thank God it took 20 or so worshippers to physically overwhelm the attacker. If it were not for their bravery, we may very well have attended several funerals in addition to today's proceedings. They could have been the victims of another Quebec City-style attack, or the truck attack in London, Ontario, which occurred just months before this attack, or the murder of a caretaker at the IMO Mosque in Rexdale, not too far from here. As the Imam was saying, we now know that this person, the attacker, had planned his attack for more than a year, that he had planned to attack more than just one target, that he only focused on this one target because he thought the other targets, which included a mosque in Toronto as well as the Pakistan consulate in this city, was too far for him to drive towards. We know that he had a flamethrower and many other weapons where he lived. We know that he looked at the Quebec City mosque shooting and the New Zealand attack in March 2019 as inspirations, that he had video of the 2019 New Zealand attack on his computer and was watching it over and over again for whatever purposes. And we know that he enjoyed watching Muslim women being attacked, shot, and killed on TV. He enjoyed watching this. Today, the survivors of the Dar Al Tawheed community finally received the troubling answers to that morning, to what happened that morning from the attacker himself. And we hope that the wider community and the broader Canadian community will take heed of what that means, what these details mean. Today's guilty plea confirms that the attacker's actions were the product of his Islamophobic convictions. He went into the mosque with the goal of killing Muslims. Again, we want to reiterate that. We should all recognize this fact and reflect on the troubling trend that has beset this country, the trend of individuals violently attacking Muslims for who they are and for what they believe. Though we are relieved that this truth is out, that the truth of what happened that morning is out, its implications remain deeply concerning for all Canadians. And though we are glad that the terrorism charges have been laid, we cannot help but worry for our community. Those who endured the attack can never be the same again. Their mornings will never be the same again. Their prayers will likely never be the same again. Some look over their shoulders to this day. Others cannot make their way to the mosque without having their inner peace disturbed. Still others plan their exit before they even start to pray, just in case there is an attack. This is the reality within which we live. We must believe it, we must fight it and grapple with it. cannot accept it. We cannot accept a reality in which the freedom to worship is threatened by acts of hate. We ask that you stand with the Dar Al Tawheed community today and in the future with those who stand against Islamophobia and hate. Thank you very much.